Hey NDC kids, Michelle here, and it's Sunday. Welcome to Kids Church Online. So you're wondering, why are we having videos of church online? Well, you might have heard this word. It's called quarantine. And so most of us are on quarantine. And check out our home studio. I'm shooting actually in my garage. All right, so some of you might have heard all these words being thrown around like COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine. And what does this all mean? Well, it means that there's this nasty bug that's going around and it's landing on people and it's infecting them. And some people get really sick and it's quite tragic. We have to stay inside and keep safe so this nasty germ doesn't hit us. And for some of you, you might know people who have been infected by this nasty bug, and maybe they are really sick and it can be quite scary. And so today we're going to be talking about
faith over fear.
Woo! All right, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about Moses and how God chose Moses to lead his people out of Egypt. You see, God's chosen people were slaves in Egypt for hundreds of years, and they were treated horribly. Their living conditions weren't cool, and God had enough. And so he talked to Moses and he said, Moses, it's time to get my people and set them free. I have chosen a special land for them and it's going to be much better than where you are. Finally, the day came when Moses was given permission by Pharaoh that it was indeed time for the Jews to get out of Egypt. And so all the Jews, and there wasn't just a handful, I'm talking like thousands, and all their cattle and stuff from their homes, and they were like traveling like a massive city. And so they were exiting out of Egypt and they were leaving and they were heading into this unknown land wherever God was showing them where to go. And it was scary for them because all they knew was Egypt. But they were excited and off they went, tromping through, the different lands, and they were like, okay, we're heading to freedom. We're going to the promised land that God has given to us. And so they were walking for a few days and they're trudging along. And I mean, remember, there's thousands of people. And Moses out in the front, and they're coming upon, this big sea known as the Red Sea. And they can see it. They're like, dude, where's Moses taking us? And suddenly, one of the guys in the back there, they check out and they're like, wait a second. Is that Pharaoh? Pharaoh's behind us! Moses! What are we gonna do? And so they passed the message up, and the message got to Moses, and indeed Pharaoh and the soldiers were chasing down the Jews. And they were like, we changed our mind. We're coming after you. You are not gonna leave. You're gonna come back and be our slaves. And so now all kinds of the people, the Jews, were freaking out. They're like, Moses, why'd you take us out here? We're going to drown in the sea and now we're going to be slaughtered by the Pharaoh and the rest of his soldiers. This ain't cool. And they got really scared. They were stuck in a tight spot and they didn't know what to do. And Moses said to the people, fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you shall never see again. And I love this verse. It's honestly one of my favorite verses in verse 14. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. You don't have to freak out. You don't have to, have all these crazy feelings of being scared. I mean, it's normal and it's natural and we're human and we can totally freak out. And the Israelites were doing just that. But God gave strict instructions to Moses and said, fear not, relax, I'm with you. And so the people were like, okay, so God told us to not fear. What are you going to do, Moses? And Moses is like, hey, God, now what do I do? And he's standing in front of the Red Sea. And God said, lift up your staff, because he had this big walking stick, and God's like, okay, just hold it up. And so Moses held it up to the sea, and it said, suddenly a great wind came from the east, and it blew into the sea, and it parted the sea, and there was dry ground. And then the Lord said, step through, get on moving, get through it. And so suddenly Moses sat there and all the entourage of Jews kept walking through. And they're walking through the dry land. And if you read further in the Bible, it says on the left side, there was a wall of water. On the right side, there was a wall of water. Could you imagine walking through this Red Sea and having walls of water on each side of you. I mean, how cool is that? And so the Israelites were walking through, and they continued walking through until each and every one got through. And then Moses went through, and lo and behold, all the Egyptians decided to do it too. Except they weren't so lucky, because the Israelites actually made it to the other side. And those, Egyptians and Pharaoh, well, they didn't do so much. They went for a big swim. And so today, I wanted to share that story with you guys because maybe for you, there's something that you're afraid of. Maybe you have some fear about being in quarantine, or maybe you have a loved one who's really, really sick, or maybe you're just scared of spiders. I am deathly afraid of mice. I do not like mice. And so what I'm trying to say is, it's normal for us to have these feelings. We're human, and we will continue being scared, but know that you guys can call upon the Lord, and He will tell you that you're going to get through it. And so today, I want to illustrate this message. And I have a piece of paper here, and I am going to show you that I am actually going to walk through this paper. Okay? Some of you would be like, Michelle, that's impossible. You can't, because you're like, yeah, I am obviously too big to walk through this paper, but I'm going to do it today. With a little help from my scissors. Now for the other side. See what I'm doing? So quiet. Watch Vinny. That's my dog. All right. You guys ready? Ready for this? I am about to walk through this piece of paper. Here I go. Well, I did. And so remember, when things look scary and you're afraid, we don't have to be afraid, because like the Israelites, God said, fear not. And He parted that Red Sea and they walked through, and God saved them. And so remember, don't be afraid. And if you are, find someone to talk to. Read your Bible. Talk to Jesus. He cares. Well, bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.